Life Audio.
The Bible Study Podcast, episode 892. Today, the Bible Study Podcast continues the study of the intertestamental period and First Maccabees with chapter 5. Welcome to the Bible Study Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Christensen. We'll continue on with chapter 5 of Maccabees, or at least the first part of that, which is the war with neighboring peoples, right after a word from this sponsor. First Maccabees 5, verses 1 through 8, war with neighboring peoples. When the nations all around heard the altar had been rebuilt and the sanctuary dedicated as it was before, they became very angry, and they determined to destroy the descendants of Jacob who lived among them. So they began to kill and destroy among the people. But Judas made war on the descendants of Esau in Edomia at Arakbatane, because they kept lying in wait for Israel. He dealt them a heavy blow and humbled them and despoiled them. He also remembered the wickedness of the sons of Baanan, who were a trap and a snare to the people, and ambushed them on the highways. They were shut up by him in towers, and he encamped against them, vowed their complete destruction, and burned with fires the towers and all who were in them. Then he crossed over to attack the Ammonites, where he found a strong band and many people, with Timothy as their leader. He engaged in many battles with them, and they were crushed before him. He struck them down. He also took Jazer and its villages, and he returned to Judea. And so the people around them don't like Israel going off on their separate way, and we get some indication that they have been Hellenized, that they have become more Greek-like with the name of the Ammonites. Timothy is a Greek name. And so we get the impression that they also have gone along with the program, and they are angry that Israel hasn't. And so they rise up and start killing people who are Jewish, people who are from Judah. And Jacob and his people fight back, and they fight back successfully. First, they defeat the descendants of Esau in Edomia, and then they also defeat the sons of Baanan, and I don't know who that is. And I've looked at the various Bible dictionaries, and there's really no clear evidence of who they are. We have lost that to time. And then he also attacks the Ammonites, who they've been fighting basically since they came into the Promised Land. That is not a new struggle. And he defeats all of them. And then we get liberation of Galilean Jews. Now the nations in Gilead gathered together against the Israelites who lived in their territory and planned to destroy them. But they fled to the stronghold of Dathema and sent to Judas and his brothers letters that said, "The nations around us have gathered together to destroy us. They are preparing to come and capture the stronghold to which we have fled, and Timothy is leading their forces. Now then, come and rescue us from their hands, for many of us have fallen, and all our kindred who were in the land of Tobias have been killed. The enemy have captured their wives and children and goods, and have destroyed about 1,000 persons there." While the letters were still being read, other messengers with their garments torn came from Galilee and made a similar report. They said, "The people of Ptolemais and Tyre and Sidon and all Galilee of the Gentiles had gathered together against them to annihilate us." When Judas and the people heard these messages, a great assembly was called to determine what they should do for their kindred who were in distress and who were being attacked by enemies. Then Judas said to his brother Simon, "Choose your men and go and rescue your kindred in Galilee. Jonathan, my brother, and I will go to Gilead." But he left Joseph, son of Zechariah, and Azariah, a leader of the people, with the rest of the forces in Judea to guard it, and he gave them this command: "Take charge of this people, but do not engage in battle with the nations until we return." Then 3,000 men were assigned to Simon to go to Galilee, and 8,000 to Judas for Gilead. So Simon went to Galilee and fought many battles against the nations, and the nations were crushed before him. He pursued them to the gates of Ptolemais. As many as 3,000 of the nations fell, and he despoiled them. Then he took the Jews of Galilee and Arbata with their wives and children, and all they possessed, and led them to Judea with great rejoicing. And so they're being attacked on all sides here, and so there's two different parties that call to Judas for help because they're being destroyed. There's a group of people who are Jews in Galilee, and then there's another group who have fled to Dathema. Everything is happening all at once, and so they divide up the army into three parts, and they send off some with the other brothers, and some go with Judas, and then some stay behind to guard, so they're not lured away from Jerusalem and then attacked while they're gone. And they have success. They continue to have success against these other nations that are coming in, against these people who are attacking and trying to wipe out the Jews at this point in various regions. And so they bring the people back to Judea, and with great rejoicing because they were successful. And then it continues, Judas and Jonathan in Gilead. Judas Maccabeus and his brother Jonathan crossed the Jordan and made 3 days' journey into the wilderness. They encountered the Nabateans, who met them peaceably and told them all that had happened to their kindred in Gilead. Many of them have been shut up in Bozrah and Bazor, in Alma and Chaspo, Maked and Karnaim. All these towns were strong and large, and some have been shut up in the other towns of Gilead. The enemy are getting ready to attack the strongholds tomorrow and capture and destroy all these people in a single day. Then Judas and his army quickly turned back by the wilderness road to Bozrah, and he took the town and killed every male by the edge of the sword. Then he seized its spoils and burned it with fire. He left the place at night, and they went all the way to the stronghold of Dathema. At dawn they looked out and saw a large company which could not be counted, carrying ladders and engines of war to capture the stronghold and attacking the Jews within. So Judas saw that the battle had begun, and that the cry of the town went up to heaven. With trumpets and loud shouts, he said to the men of his forces, "Fight today for your kindred." Then he came up behind them in 3 companies, who sounded their trumpets and cried aloud in prayer. And when the army of Timothy realized that it was Maccabeus, they fled before him, and he dealt them a heavy blow. As many as 8,000 of them fell that day. Next he turned aside to Ma'aphah and fought against it and took it, and he killed every male in it, plundered it, and burned it with fire. From there he marched on and took Chashpho, Maked, and Bosor, and the other towns of Gilead. After these things, Timothy gathered another army and encamped opposite Raphon on the other side of the stream. Judas sent men to spy out the camp, and they reported to him, "All the nations around us have gathered to him. It is a very large force. They have also hired Arabs to help them, and they are encamped across the stream, ready to come and fight against you." And Judas went to meet them. Now as Judas and his army drew near to the stream of water, Timothy said to the officers of his forces, "If he crosses over to us first, we will not be able to resist him, for he will surely defeat us. But if he shows fear and camps on the other side of the river, we will cross over to defeat him." When Judas approached the stream of water, he stationed the officers of the army at the stream and gave them this command: "Permit no one to encamp, but make them all enter the battle." Then he crossed over against them first, and the whole army followed him. All the nations were defeated before him, and they threw away their arms and fled into the sacred precincts of Karnaim. But he took the town and burned the sacred precincts with fire, together with all who were in them. Thus Karnaim was conquered. They could stand before Judas no longer. And I'm going to stop there today because these are long chapters and we'll split this up. But we have basically this other campaign that's going on in Gilead. We have the success of the one campaign with Simon in Galilee, and now we have more success. Now, one interesting tidbit with this particular story is on the way they're talking to the Nabateans. And Nabateans is something that you may not recognize from either Old Testament or New Testament, as I don't recall it coming up in either that, but these are people who live quite close by to Israel, and they control the spice routes across the deserts. And so that's why they encounter them when they go into the wilderness. And if you've ever seen the city of Petra, one of the new seven wonders of the world, the city of Petra is a Nabatean city. And so these are the people of the desert who are from this time period, from say 300 BC on into the Roman period, and then go away sometime around the 1st or 2nd century for reasons that are not entirely clear. And so they're a very rich society, and they're neighbors of these people in Judah, and they have a peaceable encounter with it, which is nice. They're the ones of their neighbors who don't seem to care whether the Jews worship the Jewish God or the Jews worship the Greek God. They don't care. And so they tell them what's going on. They give them information in terms of what's going on with their kindred in Gilead. And so it's helpful to have someone who gives them this advanced warning of what's happening. And then Judas comes down and has success after success after success against this army, these two armies in succession that Timothy gathers against him. And we're going to leave them there with them successful and then about to come back to Jerusalem. We'll deal with that next week. And with that, we're going to end this episode of the Bible Study Podcast. If you have any questions, send an email to host@thebiblestudypodcast.com, or better yet, leave a comment on this episode at thebiblestudypodcast.com. And thanks so much for listening. I want to take just a second to thank the team at Life Audio for their partnership with us on this podcast. If you go to lifeaudio.com, you'll find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in their network. They've got shows about prayer, Bible study, parenting, and more.
Hey there, it's Nicole Eunice from the How to Study the Bible podcast, and I'd love to invite you to join us as we weekly discover a passage of God's Word together. From beginning to end, from principles to practicals, we are here to make sure that God's Word is powerful and relevant to your life. If that sounds like something you're looking for, I would love to invite you to subscribe. You can go to lifeaudio.com and search How to Study the Bible, and we'll see you there.